Hi, welcome back. Hi, I'm Chi from Called Out Living, and today I'll be talking through this exercise that can really help you use emotions to connect with your dream, your goal, your ideal life, whatever you like to call it. So it's like using emotions and your motivators, like your deep reasons why, to really connect into that to help you make these big changes to get to your dream life. So the exercise is in my life planners. I've got printable life planners that you can buy from my Etsy store, which is etsy.com/shop/called out living. And I got my life planner printed and bound professionally, so I'm just going to do it from here. So basically, it's called Letter from My Older Self, and you don't need the planner to do it. You can just do it with just normal pieces of paper. And you're taking yourself into the future, and you're at the end of your life, and you're looking back, and then you're writing this letter to your younger self. And you've got two scenarios that you're writing about. One is, what happens if I don't take action? So you haven't taken action on your goals, you haven't made progress, you didn't make those uncomfortable steps to move forward. And you're writing this letter to your younger self going, this is what your life will become because you didn't make changes. And the other one is, what if I take action? Like, what amazing things could happen? How could your life look like if you take action? And then you're going to write this letter again from your older self back to your younger self going, you took action, and it meant that I got to do this, and that impacted my family in this way. And so you're just really picturing these two scenarios that really help you to kind of connect, really picture yourself, live through that life, imagining yourself thinking about the consequences, the effects of not taking action or taking action, and then use that emotion to just make it so real, like, yes, I have to do this, I need to make these changes. And I'm going to start with what happens if I don't take action. And normally I don't really like what I call a negative motivator, but I think sometimes you have to really think about what is the cost that we pay by not taking action. Because you can think, oh, if I don't do anything, I don't change anything, it's not a big deal, nothing's changing, it doesn't cost me. But actually there's a cost, because by staying in the same situation you are, it has this long-term impact. There's things that you could have walked into that you didn't walk into, opportunities and ways that you could change your life, which would knock on effect, change your children's lives, people around you, charities, something you would have gotten involved with that would help change someone else's life, and you don't maybe realise. So it just really helps you to think about your different goals and dreams, and how can I, what will be the impact if I don't go and step out and try and do these things. Okay, so I'm going to talk through the exercise, and then you can pause it and you can fill out yours. Okay, here we go. So you picture yourself as an elderly person, you're near the end of your life, and then you're looking back and you're writing this letter to your younger self, and it's a letter of, this is how my life turned out because of A, B and C. And as you look back, you're writing about this life that you've now created, the life that you've lived through, and it was life where you didn't let yourself dream, you didn't make plans for your life, and you just drifted along life. You became a victim to circumstances and situations. You didn't feel like you were in control. You just let life happen, and you weren't purposeful about it and creating plans and thinking, what would I actually like for my life. In this scenario, you're looking back and you're thinking about the times you were gripped with fear and anxiety, and you too fearful to step out of your comfort zone, so you didn't make those long lasting changes, those steps forward. You didn't make progress. So write this letter, taking that all on board, thinking through how has your life developed based on you not taking action. What were the consequences for you, your family, and for others? So maybe you didn't improve your health situation, even though that was something that was in your control. Obviously, there's some things that are not in our control, but there's some things that are. So maybe you knew that you really wanted to improve your diet and movement, and you never did. And now you're reflecting back on a life where you didn't go swimming with your children. Perhaps you felt self-conscious because of it, and you stayed in a hotel and your partner was one down at the beach and you just looking through the window, the balcony, kind of missing out really. Or because you weren't, taking care and moving and things like that, you didn't have much energy, and you didn't get to play with your children the way you'd like to. Or when everyone's going for a bike ride, you're staying behind, and it's because you didn't have the sort of the fitness to go and join that bike ride. So that's sort of examples that you can think of. Or perhaps you didn't, you wanted to do a course, you wanted to get into a new career, you'd been in the same job since you were like 20 and you weren't fulfilled then, and now it's 15 years later and you're still, you wanted to yourself, why am I still here? But again, you get stuck in that fear and you don't make progress, you don't move on to another job. And here's an opportunity you get to do a course and learn something new, start a new career, but you tell yourself, I'm too old, it's too late, it's too uncertain, what if I don't even get a job at the end of it, it's not a good time, I've got responsibilities. But you have all these things that stop you, and you don't go on that course and you don't change your career, and you stay at that job, and maybe it's like 30-40 more years, and it's a job that you just dread and you go to, and it's like sucks the life out of you. And Sunday night comes and you've got that Sunday night anxiety because it's like, oh, tomorrow's Monday, and Monday's there, and it's literally every day thinking, can it be Friday, can it be Friday? And you just live for the weekend, and you're trying to cheer yourself up with clothes and shopping and eating too much and drinking too much and I don't know, different things like that. But that's an example of something you might not change and how it can affect you in the long term. Perhaps it's things like it isn't pushing yourself and displaying a growth mindset and growth, and then then your children also follow that path because they look at their parents and think, well, my parents didn't do anything different, they stayed at the same thing and they were always moaning about it and they were never happy, but that's they just put up with it. So that's what you got to do in life, you just got to put up with things. So then you have this example to your children where it's saying that just stay put even if you're not happy, and then they live that same life that you lived, and then their children live it. So that is impacting generations. Or perhaps it's something like a habit, a healthy habit that runs in your family, like drinking too much or things like that, and you don't make those scary big steps to go and get help, and you carry on living a life dependent on alcohol, and then it's an example for your children and they fall into the same thing and it carries on. So that's like a real life consequence of what happens if you don't try and make changes in your life. And obviously these things aren't easy. They're very hard things to deal with, but you can still try to change something rather than just thinking it has to always be this way. It doesn't have to always be that way. You can make a change. So just think about your own personal things. Think about those dreams that you have now, things that you'd love to do, and you're always saying, oh, one day, someday, when I'm older, when I retire. But how about you don't wait till then? And how about you start working towards those things now and you start trying to make those changes? So obviously writing this letter, it was probably quite a hard letter to write. And no, when we've written it, I've almost cried. I've almost been in tears at this, of where this life could go if I don't step out of my comfort zone. I don't try and make these big changes. And it's really shown me the cost of me not making changes, the cost of me not trying to go for my, towards my goals and making these big, long life impacting changes. So don't want to stay too much in dwelling in that misery. So I like to quickly move on to the good bit, the most exciting bit. What happens if I take action? What could happen? What could be? What could my life look like? And in turn, what could my children's life look like, and grandchildren, and so on and so forth. So this time you're looking back and you're writing this letter to your younger self, and in this life you dreamt, you let yourself have these big dreams, but you didn't just leave it as dreams. You made plans and you took action. You didn't let fear and anxiety or other people's opinions, other people's thoughts, or what society says you should be doing, what everyone else was doing. You didn't let any of that impact you, and you take action, you make progress. So what are the highlights of your life, the results of action being taken, and what are these challenges you overcome in your life? How does your life end up looking because you've taken action? And what legacy and impact have you left or going to leave? Again, you can think that you're a stay-at-home mum and that means nothing, it's a small thing, but actually, what are you putting into those children? What are you teaching them? You could be, talking about things like growth mindset and helping them become resilient, and helping them to actually feel like they have personal power in their life to make changes, and not just to think life happens and they just have to put up with it. But you could, teach them all those kinds of things, and show them how to be kind and generous, and teaching them at home, like with food and cooking and taking care of themselves, and doing things for other people, giving. So you could be teaching them all these amazing things, and that could just help them have this amazing life where they have impact. They could become the next prime minister or president, or they could become they could start a charity that's going to impact lots of people, because you really believed in them and showed them how to make steps towards their goal. So don't dismiss anything that you do in your life as, oh, it's just little, it means nothing. Everything has a meaning, everything has impact. So there might be other things. You always wanted to start a business because you wanted to be able to employ people with mental health issues, or people who are transitional sleepers, or something like that. And you start this charity or this business that has that charitable part to it, and then you get to employ people, and you give them a chance, and you start a new hope in their lives. And how does that knock on? It's like the domino effect. You help one person, they help another, and from one person you've literally changed like hundreds of lives over a lifetime. And then obviously with your children and great grandchildren, their great grandchildren, it has this knock on effect. It's like a seed. There's seeds in everyone, and like helping. You're like the seed, and it grows. And it blossoms into this tree, and then the fruit, and the seeds fall down from that tree and the fruit, and it grows, and so on, and goes on and on. Or maybe it's personal things. You always wanted to, skydive, and by doing that scary thing, it just made you realise that I can do so much more than I thought. And I often find that when you make steps in one area of your life, when you progress in one area, it does affect all the other areas. While you build confidence in one area, like if your work or your business, that affects on your personal life and your relationships, and they become healthier. Perhaps you're like learning to assert yourself and have boundaries, and you do that in your relationship in a healthy, positive way, and then you also do it at work. So these are all the different things, all the different ways that you can take action that's going to change your life, and then has this knock-on effect. So picture yourself this elderly person, and all your dreams came true, all the things you wanted, you worked towards, you worked hard for, you became that person, and you had this wonderful life. And not a life without challenge, definitely not, but it was a wonderful life because you were growing and you had growth. So I hope that you try that exercise out. I'd love to know how it works for you. I just find that it just makes it so real, the impact. Like right now we have these goals, and it all just feels like it's ideas, kind of a concept you can't quite touch, and you're just saying, oh, but if I don't go for that, it's not a big deal. If I do that, it's not a big deal. But actually, when you think about it and the effect and the knock on, it's kind of huge. So I hope that just helps you realise, like, you know, what you do matters and it has impact and consequences. And, you know, it's up to us, isn't it, what we choose to, you know, be, you know, not let fear and anxiety or worrying about we don't have the skills, we don't have the resources, we don't have the time, we don't know the right people, could let that completely stop us. Or we can make an effort and make steps, and sometimes things won't work out, but I just find that through the trying, even when things don't work out, you grow in some way that helps you for this next thing that you work towards. So I honestly think it's always like a win-win when you try and step out and do something, you know, make those scary steps towards your dream. It always results in growth, and it's going to be like a winding path. Most people's paths are winding. When you hear about people who are very successful and what they're doing, what they become known for, what they started out, is completely different. So that kind of shows you that thing of you don't know how it work out. It's probably going to go wrong. You're probably going to fail, like loads of times, like Henry Ford and Edison. They failed how many times, but then they learnt the right way to do it, and they learnt through all those mistakes and failures. So I hope that really encourages you, that you do this exercise and it really helps you really tap into your why, because it actually, all those things that you're going to write about, the impact and the consequence, it's actually links back to your why. So if, you know, if your family living this healthy life and being around for years and years to be with your family and to, you know, be part of your faith community and volunteer and serve and things like that, then you actually want to be in, you know, in good health, so you've got the strength and energy to do it. Or if it's, you know, creating a business as an extra income because you want to be more generous and you want to support, you know, your favourite charity, as well as being more comfortable in your own lifestyle, then, you know, go for it. So I hope that's been helpful. Again, you can find the that exercise in the life planners at etsy.com/shop/called-out-living, or you can just do it on a piece of paper. It really doesn't matter. So I'd love to know how you find it. How like excited do you get when you do that? The second part, which is when you take action. Like when you read that, like how excited do you get? It, for me, it just made it so real. I got such a clear picture in my mind that it was just like, oh, I want to make that happen. I want to make that happen for sure. Anyway, so I hope it helps you. Thank you for watching, and you can subscribe, you know, like, comment. I'd love to know maybe like one of the things you'd love to do, one of your dreams. What's your big reason why?